You know, right away after removing the valve cover, I could smell the strong smell of gasoline. Just look at this here. I'm going to come in here and pick up a little oil. Look at how thin that oil is. It's down in these hex head bolts. And of course, if you smell it, you can smell the gasoline. So I'm concerned. I mean, if this doesn't give you a warning about why you don't want to let these engines run rich, I don't know what will. What happens is, when you dilute the oil, you do a bunch of things. One is cam lobe scoring, excessive chain wear, excessive piston ring wear, and cylinder wall wear, and on it goes. So, you know, I'm a little concerned. I'm looking at these cam lobes. Let me back up. The reason I'm pulling the valve cover is I want to inspect the camshaft, I want to inspect the chain, inspect the rockers, I want to adjust the valves, and then we're going to do a compression test, because the compression test, after I've adjusted the valves, is going to really tell me the real health of this engine. But fortunately, there's just a little bit of scoring, but no flat spots on the cam. This is just a quick check without checking the timing marks. You can take the chain right here and lift it. See that? I've seen a lot worse, but there is some wear in the chain, so I'm going to have to check for chain stretch here. The engine's not too bad as far as sludge buildup. Looks like it's had its regular oil changes, but let me tell you, allowing these engines to run rich, and you could see why when I showed you what those fuel injectors look like, is a very bad idea. Remember, I only drove this car about 100 miles after changing the oil right after I acquired it. So you can tell just how much fuel was pumping into this oil, and the obvious culprit were the fuel injectors. If you've watched that previous video of the bench test on those injectors, they were just squirting. Now we're not talking spraying, we're talking milking into the engine. So that's got to be fixed. This engine isn't going to run again until I have 6 good fuel injectors spraying installed back into the cylinder head. Now, some of you might be wondering, well, Kent, why are you doing a valve adjustment here before you do a compression test? Well, if the valves are not adjusted properly, let's say they're a little too tight. I've seen this a lot of times with diesel engines. People will think their engine's bad when the valves haven't been adjusted, and if the valve's not closing completely, you'll get low compression readings, and that can be expensive if it's misdiagnosed. So I want to make sure all the valve clearances are adjusted properly. I won't be going over that in this video. There's a lot of information available on the internet on how to adjust the valves in these M130 engines. But we'll get these adjusted. Then when I get the compression tester on here, I'm going to initially just do a cold cranking compression test. I'll make sure the fuel's shut off so it's not pumping fuel while I'm running the starter motor. And then I'll get back and we'll share those readings and talk about how that's going to affect the running, and particularly the mixture in the future. So we hope Happier will deliver again and make me happy with some good compression readings in the next couple of days or so. So stay tuned.